Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for Readiness to Revenue, Building the Perfect Customer Lifetime Journey. Today, I have with me Jason Frazier with Lead Pops, Brian View with FinLocker, and John Hill with Total Expert. Thanks for joining us today, guys.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. And welcome everybody to the webinar of Readiness to Revenue. It's really cool to be in front of and join you all with two of my favorite people in the industry, and Jason Frazier and the father of mortgage, Brian View. And really what we're here to talk about today is something that's not new to this industry. It's not something that people aren't doing, and one of the biggest and the largest mortgage companies in the country in Rocket has mastered this. And when your partners in this industry, when the vendors in this industry start working together to solve that, you bring about a partnership like this with Lead Pops, with FinLocker and Total Expert, and managing that lead acquisition, understanding that there are certain things in that lifetime of that customer that need more, whether it's home buyer readiness, or more customized outreach. Well, I'm stumbling here a little bit, guys. But what I really want to do is kind of frame it with how to acquire a lead, and what Lead Pops is doing in that way to bring that borrower to the table to get them engaged with your brand.
Yeah, thanks, John. I think what it comes down to, what John was getting at, is when you have, look, we're all different companies, right? But outside of being friends with each other, we're also highly collaborative with each other as partners within the industry. To, like John was saying, is to come up with a solution that is most desperately needed in our industry right now, right? And so we all could agree from a lender perspective and from a partner perspective about the importance of business intelligence. The problem is that we're rarely intelligent about that intelligence and how we use it, utilizing our tools at 100% capacity or utilizing them at all. And so, to John's point about lead acquisition, that's where most of everyone focuses on, right? Whether it's a singular loan officer or an enterprise lender. And when it comes to the cost of user acquisition or customer acquisition, those aren't going down. It's going up. And in a highly competitive market like we're going to have in 2023 or this year, those costs are only going to continue to go up and be more competitive. So your messaging, your tools, your utilization, all of that stuff has to be on point. And so when it comes down to what we do at Lead Pops, is we're not just simply trying to generate leads. We're trying to actually use intelligent ways of marketing and help our clients do that through generating opportunities. Right now, it may just be something like, oh, it's just simple wordplay or semantics, but no, really is looking at the opportunities to the at bats that you have, because the more at bats that Lead Pops could get our clients, the more conversion they're going to have. But that is just a small piece of it, as we're going to talk about here in this webinar. But you got to think about in terms of having an actual customer lifetime journey. We named it that for a specific reason, is because everyone thinks about just overall value, and they think about, all right, I get a loan in the door, I go through the manufacturing process, fulfillment, the whole deal, close the loan, I'm good, right? And then we put them into a system that we care so little about, right? And when John referenced Rocket, there's a reason why Rocket runs the table when it comes to customer retention. It's because they put more emphasis on the back of the house than they do in the front of the house. Don't get me wrong, right? They're spending a ton on the front of the house too, but they're also spending as much, if not more, on the retention side, because they know that it is far more expensive to go out and spend money on the people you don't know, as opposed to spending the resources on the people you do know. And that's why when it comes to Total Expert, making sure that when we do bring those opportunities in, that you have a way to communicate, that you have intelligent journeys to put them through. But going before is something that I always say, is that your marketing starts before the customer even knows who you are. And the only way to do that and to keep them involved, especially as they're shopping, it's no longer linear, right? The consumer journey is all over the place. So you need to have a tool like FinLocker to keep them engaged in the beginning. But the cool thing about FinLocker is that it also helps them from that readiness standpoint all the way to close. But but the story doesn't end there. And that, in fact, that's where I believe FinLocker makes the biggest impact, is keeping them engaged and helping those retention costs, or that percentage of retaining that customer, go to the low 20s is the last number that I saw, and getting it up to like the high 70s to the 80s where Rocket lives. That I'll let Brian speak, more to that point.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
before, let me interject really quick, because that number is actually 93% with Rocket last year.
Okay.
And they're starting to develop, and they've launched that tool with Rocket Money, which, again, when you think about data, when you think about the cost of acquiring a customer, but then the cost to bring that customer back in that lifetime value, they're leveraging that tool in that way as well. It's bringing them in for that financial literacy and that financial readiness, but it's also making sure that they stay engaged. And Brian, why don't you talk a little bit more about what FinLocker's doing on that side, and how you can bring it all together from that lead pop side to what FinLocker's doing?
Yeah, before I do that, I think going back to the the mortgage collaborative and the value of the organization for its members is collaborations like this. And as I thought about it, and that wasn't a play on words, by the way, but as I thought about this talk and what's really going on in the marketplace, and each of you have already talked about Rocket Money, Rocket Mortgage, Rocket Homes, Rocket Auto, Rocket. That's the playbook. They are the playbook for customer acquisition, customer engagement, conversion, and retention, right? They are the playbook, whether we like it or not. And as I, again, prep for this talk today, I think about the combination of our platforms together. We really have the solution for everybody that's not Rocket, right? We have the Rocket Money kind of personal financial management platform with FinLocker. We have a very sophisticated and up funnel client attraction and engagement platform with Lead Pops, and we have arguably the best in the industry with ongoing intelligent communication with borrowers and consumers that's data driven with Total Experts. So look at Rocket, study what they're doing, but understand that the combination of these three platforms and companies today essentially give you your own version of it. And we're scalable collectively, right? So I think to me, that's what's exciting about these partnerships, these opportunities to kind of come together and bring solutions to the lenders and the members of the mortgage collaborative. John, to your point, just for those that aren't as familiar with FinLocker as you should be, think of FinLocker. I always think about mortgage originations across a continuum, and traditionally loan officers and mortgage companies have been really good at the point of sale, meaning somebody's raised their hand and says, I'm ready to apply. Most originators and LOs are really good at that point in time to engage and capture and pull that customer through to closing, right? So call that the transaction. Our industry's been really good at transactions. Our industry's failed, as evidenced by the retention numbers, at kind of ongoing, meaningful engagement that allows you to win again with the customer that you spent a lot of time and money acquiring in the first place. Where FinLocker can help is the point in time before the point of sale, right? So not everybody comes into the funnel of a loan officer ready today to buy a home and get a mortgage. Most people have to become emotionally and financially prepared, and it could take months or longer to do that. FinLocker arms lenders of all sizes with a white label solution that allows you to now become the Credit Karma, Mint.com, Rocket Money, Zillow for that customer in one app under your logo in your tech stack. So all kinds of engagement opportunities to help people that are not otherwise mortgage ready get to a place of readiness. And then they're already in your ecosystem. So if you've deployed Lead Pops and you've got a strategy for customer acquisition up the funnel, FinLocker can be a place to engage those that don't come in and are not yet ready to apply. And then get them into the mortgage ecosystem, into your transaction management platform, your POS, LOS. And then at the back end, as Jason said, all the tools, the financial credit tools, the tracking of home value, et cetera, that we're valuable for someone up the funnel remain valuable for that consumer post-close, and they stay in your ecosystem. So in effect, you have your own kind of Rocket Money, Rocket Mortgage kind of platform with the combination of these three companies.
Yeah, Brian, that's very interesting. But I think, when you think about the data that you have in your platform, right? All of the insights, all of the build out of that consumer, adding their credit, adding their liabilities and all of that. And as they're going down that readiness, why don't you talk a little bit more about how that data can interact with different platforms and different systems to keep the loan officer in the know of what's happening, A, but B, how the communication sequences work.
Yeah, so the FinLocker platform is engineered with the idea that we're a consumer permission and direct source data platform. And what that means is everything we do is with consent from the consumer, right? So consumer downloads the app, accepts the terms of service, privacy policy, and agrees through that process that they're going to share data that's being curated and aggregated inside the locker with their lender loan officer in real time. And so when I talk about direct source data, think of a user, a borrower, a consumer in the locker as having the potential to be verified on 5 dimensions: identity, credit, assets, income, and employment. Always connected to the direct source. So we're connected to their credit report, their credit file, connected to their payroll account if they've linked to their payroll, and a direct connection to their asset accounts, their checking, savings, investment, IRA, 401k accounts, and liability accounts. So all that direct source data, if you think of it in the context of a mortgage application, is the same set of data that's used to analyze a consumer's ability to pay on a mortgage, right? What FinLocker is doing is using that data and creating a set of journeys and experiences on top of it in the app that help with improving credit, creating and maintaining and following budgets, creating goals for saving for a down payment. Even embedded real estate search happens in the locker. And so if you have a early journey first-time home buyer who's unsure where they stand in terms of being ready, and they use all the components of FinLocker, you can get them to a place of readiness before they apply with you as a lender. You essentially have all their data, any documents they've stored along the way. And so when you get them into your LOS, POS, and kind of run your full approval, you're literally at a stage where you should be able to go from final approval to closing in days, right? So it's all about the direct data, direct consumer permission data. And then with what we are doing with Total Expert specifically is for our mutual FinLocker Total Expert clients, they're now seeing a subset of that data in the form of insights inside of Total Expert to even bring more personalization to the journeys that are firing on behalf of that loan officer with that consumer through the Total Expert platform.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I'm looking forward most in our integration and our relationship as we grow that out is the opportunity to get and enhance that customer record even more. So that's awesome, Brian. Fraser, thinking about what Lead Pops does, obviously we talked a lot about, once the customer is there, but you spoke about, getting that potential borrower engaged with you, right? Before you even know them. Talk a little bit more about what Lead Pops is doing on that lead acquisition, because I think a lot of people in this industry think about lead acquisitions. I got to go buy leads. Lead Pops positions itself a lot differently when it comes to that lead acquisition, that marketing to gain the interest of people that aren't either ready or are looking out in the marketplace.
Yeah, and I think, and honestly, the analogy I could use is look at our name, right? Look at the name Lead Pops, right? In our industry, if I say leads, especially in this market, people are going to perk their ears up, right? It's about knowing your audience, about knowing your target audience, but not only that, but where do they congregate? Where are they at? One of the many challenges that Lead Pop solves for is about not wasting attention, right? You're out there, your business card, and this goes to what I was saying, and I'm glad you brought that back up, John, when it comes to like your marketing begins before they even know who you are. When you start going out there, and that's, you're shaking hands, kissing babies, BNI groups, networking events, conferences, everything in between, trying to build that database, right? Doing all of that. If you're doing that, you are going to generate traffic at some point. However, and this is one of the biggest issues that I see, is that we generate traffic, but there's not really a simple way to convert them. What do most loan officers, lenders do? Send them to an apply online link. We call that the apply or die strategy. Worst possible thing you could do. I've looked at the bounce rates and the data of these sites, and I can tell you right now, people will avoid those areas because you're putting someone that is just generally trying to get information and whatnot into an immediate buy-in, a buying decision, and you just cannot do that. Now, will it work? Sometimes, sure, right? If that person, depending on where they came into, it's the problem is that you don't know and you're not tracking, right? So we give them a very, very easy, simplistic form to go through, funnel to go through, ask them questions to garner more intent, right? So you have a more qualified lead that comes in. But at the end of the day, when it comes down to what we're doing, it's a term that you're going to start hearing a lot, and that's marketing revenue optimization. What our power is, and not only ours, but when we combine efforts with a total expert and a FinLocker, is about increasing the sum of your income. What have we heard nothing of in the last 12, 18 months about margin compression, right? The expense, companies losing 48 to 52 bips per closed loan. We're hearing all of that. And the only way to get out of that is you're not going to cut your way out of that. You're only going to grow your way out of that. But the only way you could do that is that if you increase the sum of the income that you're already bringing in, and that comes with the full utilization of the tools that you have, and actually pouring resources into making sure that they use, right? Like a total expert, if you have that, the last thing you want to do is just like put it as a set it and forget it, and then hope that loan officers are doing other ancillary services. And with Lead Pops, that means that anything that comes in, whether it's a QR code on your business card or a flyer, open house, or whatever, we give you opportunities and at bats by capturing that traffic. Because I could tell you right now, I just went through an audit with some people that are coming over as customers from other places, enterprises and single, or smaller shops alike. And what I could tell you right now is I'm seeing bounce rates on average of plus 75%. And if for people that don't understand what bounce rates is, means they come there and they leave, right? And so all these other things that we're focusing on is because they're pretty, they're nice and whatever. All we focus on is what works. We focus on what converts. And at the end of the day, that's all you should care about, because when you do that and you put the solution front and center, that's how you're going to increase the sum of your income.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of that that you're talking about, you're capturing data, right? You're capturing data on people that are starting to interact with the brand, right? When you take a look at your past customers and the current customers that are getting leads in from Lead Pops, what's their biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is that and here's the thing, and look, I'm gonna be real with this one, right? Is the biggest challenge that I see is that no one really wants to work leads. That's the biggest challenge, and they give up way too easily. So I have a great company that we work with, and they do like credit education, credit repair, whatever you want to call it, right? The thing is what they tell me is that they're like, look, we get some of these, and they're only like, a loan officer will see and like, oh, my one is credit. A lot of people don't even know what their credit score is, right? They assume it's either average or less. Sometimes it's higher, right? So when it comes through and people are like, I don't really know, I think I'm like mid-range, loan officers see that, or they see it that's a low credit score. They don't understand that person could just be one change away in their credit profile that gets them qualified, but gets them qualified at a higher level. Right. So I just see a lot of people giving up. Plus, when we look at the data, those leads that are garbage leads or they're unqualified or whatever, amazingly, I see those close other places. Right. How is that possible if you can't do it? And so that's the biggest challenge I see is the follow up, right? Like the money's in the follow up. That's a saying for a reason, but not having those systems dialed in to follow up with those, but not even wanting to do it at all. Like, oh, they're credit challenged or they're income challenged, and we don't want to do that. you guys got to understand, with from 2020 to 2021, we did a lot of business, more than we've ever done in this industry. The range of customers that are out there, not only with income, credit, going through record inflation, coming into a recession, and everything else that's going on with the pandemic and turmoil and everything else, right? We're looking at it as if like, hey, the business should be exactly the way it was before. It's not that way. So we have to expand what we're doing. Doesn't mean we have to go to subprime, but it just means we have to expand and put a little work in these leads. And someone that's run consumer direct at a very high level, I could tell you that nurturing is like a 6 to 12 month process. But guess what? The longer you wait, the longer that 6 months gets, the longer that 12 months gets. So the challenge is that you have to work the leads, you have to work them right, but you got to start today.
Yeah, so bringing the data in, having a source or a source of truth to bring that data in, and then fire automation to make sure that you're relating to that consumer at the right moment, at the right time, based off of how what the questions that they're answering in the lead pops is one of the things that obviously Total Expert is solving for. But what I'm hearing you say, Jason, is make sure that you have optionality and tools so that no leads hit the floor.
Absolutely.
Because leads don't have to hit the floor if you don't want them to. Most organizations allow them to hit the floor because they give up, right? They don't want to spend the time to nurture those leads and put them into an actual mortgage. And that's where I think the beauty of the Lead Pops platform, bringing them in and then making sure that if they're not ready, getting them into a FinLocker suite in an instance and get them into a locker to then provide that financial literacy, that home buyer readiness is so important to make sure that, again, that no lead is left behind. And I'm going to steal that from Alex. But that's the truth, right? You don't have to let leads fall to the floor. If you have a strategy, an organizational strategy, not just a one-to-one, but have it as an organizational best practice to have that automation, that lead nurture. And then if something happens to where they're not ready, have a tool like FinLocker to actually put them there so that they can become ready.
One of the things that we've been talking a lot about with our clients, especially our clients that are partners with Total Expert and partners with Lead Pops, is if you, with your branded FinLocker account, right? ABC Locker, ABC Vault, whatever the client calls it.
Well, just leverage the PRMG Data Vault. I mean,
PRMG Data Vault. Yep. So PRMG Data Vault, you've got this set of consumer-facing digital tools now. None of them have to talk about mortgage, right? You could talk about credit score, credit monitoring, credit alerts, credit simulation, like the Boost type products. So there's a whole suite of activities for the consumer around credit. You've got financial planning or financial management tools around budgeting, spending analysis, goal setting. I mean, we're not like the Rocket Money app or Truebill in terms of a consumer has to pay to cancel, a subscription, but in the FinLocker product, you can see recurring subscription payments, identify those, and then go cancel them yourself and not pay the $9.99 to Rocket. The point being is what I'm seeing out there is customers are looking at all these consumer digital financial tools, building marketing, messaging, calls to action, using Lead Pops to capture against those marketing messages that aren't talking about mortgage and low rates and fast closing and all that crazy stuff, but they're talking about financial fitness, about credit monitoring and budgeting and goal setting and spending analysis, using those as the hooks, using the funnels and the Rebel Local tool from Lead Pops to capture the attention of that consumer, getting information from that consumer through the lead funnel, and at the end of the funnel, thank you. Here's your free, your free data vault as a kind of a recognition of that funnel activity. All that funnel data then is immediately piped into Total Expert, and now an engagement journey is kicking off in real time against that lead funnel. If someone's mortgage ready and they go right into the point of sale, great, that's a win. But most people aren't. Now they've downloaded the FinLocker app. They start to engage with credit, create budgets. They're doing things in the locker. Those things, those activities are now being surfaced back into Total Expert that gives you as the originator that much more clarity on what this person is doing, what their intent is, and when is the best time now to interact with them. So it's to Jason's point earlier, it's taking the tools that you already have thinking about how to put them together in a way that's going to make you best in class. And as we said from the onset, the playbooks on Woodward Avenue in Detroit, Rocket's got the playbook. You all now have the tools available to kind of play in that space and win. I think the magic to me is combining the tools that we were talking about today with that local professional originator. That's the differentiator for me.
Yeah, which most of the mortgage collaborative brands have. You know, I mean that local guy.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to jump in is what everyone has just heard from Brian is I want you to think about what he talked about as it relates to personalization and customization based off of how they came in the first place. And think about what you have in play now, right? And I can tell you from a consultant standpoint that I see a lot of the messaging and whatever, it doesn't take in that into account, right? And so the more customized you could be, the more personalized you could be. And if you talk to any marketer from any vertical, anywhere, they'll tell you that the gold standard is that for conversion is highly customized, highly personalized experience, right? From beginning to end. And when it comes down to what we generally put out there as an industry, it's like a purchase refi, right? Or hey, VA, USDA, DSCR, where however they're coming in to the system, right? Yeah, we could talk to the product, but if we could really hone in on that experience and be detailed, because we got to understand that the chances are when we talk about exclusive leads and whatever, look, the chances of that one person deciding when they get into that journey, right, and that workflow of like going out there like, hey, I need to move for whatever life event or something else is going on, when they get into that decision of actually starting the funnel, right, top of funnel, like awareness, I'm looking for what type of loan product, all of that other good stuff, right, is when we're putting something out there that actually speaks to their goals, that's going to be different, that's going to stand out, right? When it's not enough. Yes, we want to lead pops. We want to give you as many at bats as possible, right? But there's only so much we could do. You have to take it upon yourself to make sure that when they finally do, if you finally get someone to raise your hand and say, I want more info or whatever, the worst thing we could do is just put them into some canned cookie cutter follow-up that's not personalized or customized. Because if we can stand out on the service and experience, even if you happen to have a higher rate, your conversion goes up to 25 to 35% just because they feel that you've listened to them, right? This is when you got to go past just normal, like, hey, I'm selling a commodity, I'm buying a commodity. You need to get into the details, into the intelligence of consumerism, so that you have a better way of converting those at bats, which again decreases your total cost of originating that loan.
I almost want to cry, Jason. That was beautiful.
I would if I were you.
That really is. But you know what I mean, Jason, you're 100% right when you say that personalization and communication, and it's leveraging data in a different way, right? It's creating action out of and giving it activity. But directing that communication based off of the past interactions or the data points that are coming into the platform, whether it's from lead pops or whether it's an interaction inside FinLocker or anywhere else with your POS, it's understanding where they're at with you all, and then communicating and meeting them where they're at, not where you want them to go or where they were. That's a drip campaign, right? And when you're thinking about true marketing automation, it's being able to onload and off ramp a borrower into different segments of communication or different journeys based off of how they're interacting with emails, with the locker, with your POS, whatever that looks like, and then be able to take them off of those journeys and add them into an in-process or a customer for life campaign. By doing that and relating them, it brings to that customer for life value, right? It's got that revenue to the readiness to revenue, true lifetime value of a customer. And the more you treat them as a human and not just a number or a loan application or whatever, the more they're going to start coming back. And that's where where Rocket is very good, is they understand the data and they interact with that data and automate off of that data at the moment that happens.
There's a lot here. Clearly, 30 minutes doesn't do it justice, but I'm excited that TMC, that you guys had the foresight to bring these three platforms and companies together to have this talk. I would just say, if anyone wants to go deeper with the three of us or any of us individually, I think our websites are linked out there. We're all active on LinkedIn, and I certainly on the FinLocker side would welcome anyone that wants to go deeper into our product. But thanks for playing along, guys.
Well, I think we also need to make sure that we let them know that we're all going to be out in San Diego for TMC Stay Classy San Diego. So I think that if they're looking to meet with us out there as well, to reach out and we can get a meeting out there as well. And if you
Absolutely.
haven't signed up yet, you should register and get out there.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, we will be sending out a follow-up email to everyone that joined today. So if you would like to reach out to us or to Brian, John, or Jason, we will be sending over their contact information, as well as a recording and a podcast of this session as well. So thank you guys.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Thanks, everyone.
See ya.